Hello, so today's lesson is going to be called The Bible in a Clean, Well-Lighted Place. For this, we're going to have two sources. The first source is How to Read Literature Like a Professor by Thomas E. Foster, and the second one is A Clean, Well-Lighted Place by Ernest Hemingway. We're going to do the same thing we did last time. We're going to first, you're going to read the story, and then you're going to read, the How to Read Literature Like a Professor. And when you do that, we're gonna start connecting the different things that assimilate to each other. In this case, you can pause the video, go back and read, and then when you finish reading, you click press again. You click play again, and then you can keep seeing the video of how we're gonna connect the dots. So as you're coming back from reading How to Read Literature Like a Professor, Chapter 7, the Bible, we can see a couple of points that we're supposed to note since they're pretty important and they can help us understand the reading better. The first concept that we're given is that anyone can cite the Bible. If you believe in that religion and Catholic, then you can use it. If you don't, you can use it too. It says there that even the demons can cite that since it's something that people use to show a better example of the things that they're trying to explain. Although in this video we're not going to explain much about if the author believed in this religion or stuff of that sort, we can see that in the story, when you finish reading the story, there is a lot of things that have a connection to the Bible, which is pretty important to note since it gives us a better explanation to things that the author is trying to explain, in this case Ernest Hemingway. When reading the 7th chapter, we see that they touch a lot of the idea that when they're trying to cite the Bible, they usually attempt to show often the idea that people lose their innocence. And maybe in the story, as I could see it, was that the old man and the old waiter, they both had lost that innocence in themselves, that everything was perfect, that their lives were the best thing, and that everything they had, it was perfect. But then they realize that they're nada, and that's something that we can see in the young waiter. He is still in some sort of innocent stage where he believes that his life is everything and that his wife or girl waiting for him at home is the best thing he can have, when he doesn't realize that after another thing after that, it's nothing. Like, he doesn't have anything more than that. We don't know if he has other materialistic things, but he does end up being nada like the other guy. We see this relating to the Bible since, of course, when we talk about the Bible, the first things that comes to mind is the story of Adam and Eve, right? So what happened to them? They didn't take the right choices and they lost their innocence by eating the prohibited fruit. And when they see this, when they do this, they see that they're naked, right? And that's losing their innocence. So of course we can relate it to the idea that maybe in the story the young waiter has not lost that innocence yet. On chapter 7, it tells us that often in these stories, the characters tell us about how they wish that they could go back in time and often fix their problems and fix the decisions that they made, which made their lives less better. And so we can see this relating to the old waiter and the old man, since both of them seem to not have a really good life. So if they start thinking about it, they could be like, oh, I wish that I had done this better for my life to be better. Of course, then in the story later we get the idea that, okay, they know they're nada, so what could they do, right? But still, everyone has that inside in them that we wonder of when and how things could have been done differently. In chapter 7, we also see the idea that they're trying to show us that often when people relate the Bible to their lives, they attempt to show some sort of renewal. And if we are trying, I think in this story it's not really much about renewal, but instead it's a self-acknowledgement that they get of, okay, so this is our lives and this is how it's supposed to go, and there's no way of backing out, right? In this story, I can see it in the young man. He has not yet realized this, but the old waiter, he's going through the acknowledgement, and then when he goes to the canteen, we can see that he is not happy with it. He starts understanding the idea that to know he is nothing to no one. Yes, maybe he can make the right decisions and become someone important at some point, like we all can, right? But yet, after all, at night we are nothing. The next day we're still nothing. Something else that the chapter 7 really implies a lot is the idea of a lost modern society. I think that in the story we can also see this, since we get the idea of, okay, and now everyone thinks that they're so important, because they even though they don't say it like that, they do try to specify, like, oh, it's because, for example, the young man, he thinks that his life's better and everything like that. And so that could be some sort of lost society, since people have to start realizing that they're not everything in the world and they're not the center of the universe. So they have to start making the right decisions for them to at least be comfortable with their own selves. This is a judgment that we could see from the old man and even maybe the old waiter, but I think it's more of the old man. The last concept that I found was the idea of Mary interceding for us, for the ones needed. I see this in the story, and I think it's really important to specify this, since in this point where he tries to commit suicide, he tells us how his niece saved him because she wanted to intercede for his happiness, right? So in this form of female part of trying to intercede for someone, we can compare it to Mary or Holy Mary, right? Interceding for our souls and the idea of our happiness, which is mainly the thing that she is known as. So when he tries to make a connection of that to his niece, I think it's really important to note that of course he is trying to make a connection to the Bible. So basically the whole story, it's relating a lot into the idea of being lonely and the things that come with it. The idea of different ages of people have different concepts of what life is, and as they're growing older, they get to understand that they're nothing and that the next day they're going to still be nothing, which is something pretty important to everyone, since even though many say they accept it, no one does it, and then you feel this thing inside of you that you wish that you weren't nothing. And so that's the end of the video. I hope you understood the idea of not exactly what I explained, but the idea of reading two passages and then connecting them and finding the things that they have in common with each other. So till next time, thank you for watching.